Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. It's Angela Love Zarenka from Lactation Education Resources. So happy that you're joining us today. I will turn it over to Nikisha Killings and Nikki Hunter Greenaway, who are going to be introducing our very special guest for today. Nikisha?
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome back. Here we go. We're excited to have one more opportunity to sit before you and just share a new and exciting topic. This week's topic is, of course, celebrating Black Breastfeeding Week in the middle of a global crisis. I am Nikisha Killings, private practice lactation consultant in Florida, and so many things. Okay. Director I drew blank for a second. Director of Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging for Lactation Education Resources, who brings us here today. And I'll pass it on to my co-founder of Nikki and Nikki Lactation Consultants, Career Consultants.
Hey everyone, I am the other half of Nikki and Nikki. I'm Nikki. I almost say your name. I'm Nikki Greenaway, family nurse practitioner at IBCLC. I'm in New Orleans. I have a private practice here where I do prenatal, postpartum, lactation, and women's health home visits. And we're so excited to have our folks here today. This is like fam.
Yeah.
And mind you, I can't say that I've ever met y'all in person, but I feel like I know y'all because we see y'all doing awesome and wonderful things in the community and just collectively and networking and things that we should, as lactation consultants, should be doing in our spaces.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we want to go ahead and introduce our folks.
Well, let's see. We
Go
have
ahead.
a couple of the team members here from Black Breastfeeding 365 who are going to introduce themselves, and then we'll get a little bit later on into the great work that they are doing.
Yeah.
Whoever
Shelley,
wants to
do
go
you wanna
first.
go first?
Okay. Hi, I'm Chanel Andrews, more commonly known as Shelly Andrews on social media and in these breastfeeding streets. Everybody knows me as Shelly. I am the owner and founder of Hey Mama Lactation and Perinatal Care, located in Southern New Jersey. I am a certified breastfeeding specialist and also a Pathway 3 IBCLC candidate. April 2021, I will be passing the IBCLC exam.
Yes, you will.
I am also a founding member of Black Breastfeeding 365.
And I'm Chandra Matos. I'm Chandra Matos. I'm an IBCLC now located in Fayetteville, North Carolina. I was over on the West Coast in California. I am owner of Matos Lactation, and yeah.
Welcome.
And I
Thank
helped
you for joining
found
us.
Black Breastfeeding 365. So
That's an important part. Yeah.
right.
Very important.
Well, listen, we're so happy to have you all with us. We always like to start with a check-in. So if anybody wants to tell how in the world you are doing right now with all that's going on, and our audience is invited to participate in the chat to tell us how they are doing as well. Anybody want to go first?
I'll start it off. Like I said, I'm in New Orleans. We are opening our schools this week. Public schools, however, are virtual, and private schools have opened, which creates an interesting scenario here in New Orleans if you've ever been here before. So I'm doing virtual. I'm a virtual teacher for my 3 kids in 3 different grades, and all the while trying to do a private practice because I'm not doing as many virtual visits as I used to because the majority of my population are homeless. So I am out in these streets literally doing visits. So it's an interesting time here, and I think everyone is just really trying to find out what works best for them. And it looks differently for everyone. So we all right. We living. We good.
So up here in Southern New Jersey, I'm surviving. As I was saying earlier, I have definitely put too much on my plate for the month of August, but this is like the big celebration for lactation professionals everywhere, World Breastfeeding Month, right? So this is to be expected. My son and my daughter will be returning back to remote learning in September. So right now I am trying to quiet the teacher side of me that wants to buy everything. I just had to talk myself off a ledge to remember I'm not decorating a classroom. I'm decorating a small corner of our living room that we designated as our, learning spot for this upcoming school year. So we're just kind of anticipating that coming up right now.
Yeah, we having just made a cross-country move, we're finally getting settled in. But traveling during COVID times was interesting. And then the original plan was putting my daughter into, obviously that's been disrupted, even had they opened up school, or like even had we wanted to continue to put her into the school system, they're only doing distance learning, and she's 5, and it would be a big adjustment for her having not been in a structured school setting. So we're trying to navigate that, childcare and getting set up here. Otherwise, everything's good. It's just a big adjustment all around.
Yeah, I can relate to that. Chandra and I are both military spouses, so we get that moving life. And I just moved a couple of months ahead of you, and we're still not settled in at all. I'm thankful that we've always homeschooled, so this is not a major adjustment, and we'd never start until after Labor Day. So I'm still appreciating these weeks to prepare and get my mind right after moving and being in a new place. Practice-wise, I'll be honest, it's been really tough here to find my folks. In the middle of a pandemic, it's like, how do you find the people who really need your services when you're not established in the community well enough for them to find you, or even trust it that you can provide this service to them virtually, right? And so that's been my challenge, is being in a state where, y'all know it's Florida. I don't even have to say anymore. Being in
No
Florida,
comment.
but also trying to find and I keep reaching out to entities that serve families, birthing families, saying, hey, I'm here. I want to be a resource. Help me find those families, especially the ones who are underserved and need this help. And the responses have been interesting, and indicate to me that this is not a thing that exists here. And nobody's ever really thought about it, and they don't quite know what I'm asking for. And so I'm just trying to find the people that need me, and I know it'll be a journey. And this is what we do, right, Chandra? We land in a new place and set up shop and make those connections, but it's easier to do that in person.
Sure.
And because it's Florida, I'm not doing that here in person right now.
Y'all on another level.
We're on another level. We are, but we are well. And I'm glad to hear everybody kind of has a positive response to that. And I hope, Angela, you're seeing the same from the audience in the chat box. Let us know if there's any you want to share. Might have caught her off guard there.
No, not they're not sharing. I'm just looking here. No, there's not.
No.
They're not sharing yet, but please do share. Just type your questions and/or comments into the question box, and I'm going to be taking a look at those, keeping an eye on those while the people here have a conversation.
Yes, and we'll just keep talking. I know that we also have a lot of folks who are attending ILCA today. We'd be remiss in not mentioning that, and so they're going to catch us on the replay as well. But we're excited for whoever is here with us, and make sure you let us know you're out there. So we're here to talk about celebrating Black Breastfeeding Week in the midst of a global pandemic, global crisis on a number of different faces and fronts, right? But so let's start there a little bit, in terms of talking about Black Breastfeeding Week and the importance of it. If anybody wants to share their personal experience with Black Breastfeeding Week, and what this means to you, and your work when August comes around each year, we'd love to hear it.
So I'll start.
Go ahead.
So Black Breastfeeding Week is definitely very meaningful to me for several reasons. One, it's because I am the first in my family to successfully breastfeed both of my children, both nursing at the breast and also pumping. Also, growing up in an urban environment, you didn't hear a lot about breastfeeding. You didn't see a lot about breastfeeding. And so my call has been to go back to where I'm from, which is Camden, New Jersey, and really to try to help there, to make breastfeeding more visible for families that look like my family. During this time, I think it's important, you know, all year essentially, but specifically during this time, to amplify Black voices, to show what breastfeeding looks like for us. Because, you know, oftentimes we don't see enough of those images of, you know, Black parents breastfeeding, chest feeding, pumping, and things like that. So this time is just really important to me to start to, well, to continue the conversation of changing what breastfeeding looks like. That's what I think is most important during this time, is that we're putting out those positive images of what breastfeeding looks like for us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Right. Well, I think for me, it's kind of hard because my journey of understanding Black Breastfeeding Week and what it is to be a Black breastfeeding parent has kind of evolved over time since I'm biracial. And so coming to terms, it's not coming to terms, but like like developing into my identity kind of happened at the same time that I'm learning about some of the barriers and the struggles in the Black community, but also the shift of this idea that for a long time, what Black breastfeeding looked like had always been like tokenized, or like we didn't see. I remember when I started out in 2014, a lot of the conversations was about like photos from people in other countries instead of Black breastfeeding parents here. And so over time, I have been observing the shift in not only spreading the message that yes, Black women do breastfeed, Black parents do breastfeed, but it looks just like everybody else, but it's wide, it's a wide variety. Some parents pump, some parents um, uh, full-term nurse, some people tandem feed. And so I think over time, my experience in the last couple of years has been more of a learning journey. And then I feel really comfortable in the last couple of years to really feel engaged in the conversation and feeling like, okay, we do need to be talking about this more than just Black Breastfeeding Week. And we really need to be making sure that we are supporting Black in general. And I'm really excited to be at this point now and having be a part of a journey or venture to do that. Awkward answer, but
No, I mean, that's your truth, right? So I think that we all, this time of year, find ourselves answering the question of why do we need a Black breastfeeding week? What is that about? And based on, you know, the truth that you just shared, you may get those questions a little closer to home than some of us do. And so it's, you know, it's, you know, a challenge to answer that over and over and over, and it's a challenge to be, you know, patient um, with the phrasing of some of those questions, you know, and some of our posts, some of the comments, you know, but I'm thankful that folks are getting it. You know, I remember a few years ago, Kimberly Seals Allen was like, I'm not answering a question anymore, ever. Why we need it. I'm just not going to do it. The information's out there, it's accessible. You're not going to have me continue to do this heavy lifting, this laborious talking, commenting for days, writing blog posts. You know, the information's available to you now, and so I'm thankful that we are a few years and seeing a little less resistance to the idea of it now. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, I think too. I'm tired of answering that question. That's a 100 level. I don't do 100 level questions no more. We on the 300 level questions. If you want something like that, hit me up then. But there's so much information. That's the groundwork that we laid when Anaya and Kidada and Kimberly, when they, you know, came up with this week. That's the groundwork was laid those 2 weeks. You know, the first week they're like, oh, what's this? The Black people getting together. And then the second year, it's like, oh, we're getting together again. We increase our numbers. But then after that, I'm not going to keep answering this question over and over again. It is what it is. We're here to educate and empower. And I think what's happened over the years, it's transformed into is educating outward, but educating inward. Also, I understand in my space in Southeast Louisiana, we have combo feeding. We have, you know, folks that are breastfeeding, and so folks are formula feeding, but then also redefining what breastfeeding looks like. People are like, well, I'm not breastfeeding. And I'm like, but you are. You're giving them baby breast milk. You are breastfeeding. So it's just redefining it for our community. And as Rose, one year there, theme was, growing a rose from the concrete. That's essentially what some of us are doing.
Yes.
Our data just came out recently, our report card for breastfeeding, and it looks junky. Like it's not great. So I can see from COVID coming in and us, we're having to dig deep again and educating our community, because we can't keep fighting ignorance, okay, around us. Well, all we can do is internalize and educate the folks, so we have a greater voice when we educate outward, because outward is just out of control right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I share all the sentiments that everyone shared. It's, I'm kind of beyond expressing why we need it, and I hope our audience wasn't coming to hear that conversation, because
Oh, I'm sorry.
we need it. Believe us, it's needed. But we can talk about how it may look different this year, in terms of all that's going on in the world, and the way the celebrations may be happening. Do you think that we're going to see a significant shift this year in the way that Black Breastfeeding Week is being celebrated, and what might that mean moving forward? Anyone?
I think we're thinking outside the box this year, just like what we've done with a lot of different things. With COVID has required us to pivot, to shift, and to go into this virtual world of strengthening our voice virtually, being able to reach more people. We have that potential now. We're pressed. We have to do it that way, because we're not having in-person events, even though I've heard a couple of folks, having their in-person events. But with that, we want to make sure that we're reaching different folks in different pockets. Here in Louisiana, we have Central Louisiana is just barren of OB services, lactation services, all those things. But now I've been charged. They're like, Nikki, now you can help people in Central Louisiana. I'm like, I can now. They probably never even heard of Black Breastfeeding Week. So our voices have further reach now. But that being said, we needed to have further reach, because we know that they're not getting the support that they need when they are in the hospital, as the extent of support that they need. They may be getting those gyms, to do certain things, but after that, the conversation kind of shifts back to the hospital. There's a widened gap between hospital and community care. So that's where we come in and kind of bridge that.
So right before, right as the world was shutting down, right back in March, specifically for Jersey, that's when we started shutting down. There was the LCNPP conference, and there was a lot of conversation about who was attending, who wasn't, whatever the case is. Well, I live 20 minutes from Philly, so I said, well, I kind of paid my money to go, and this is a good chance to get away from my husband and kids, who I love dearly, but and so I went, and one of the presenters, Tiara Caldwell, her presentation was about pivoting your business. So as she's talking, I'm sitting and I'm thinking like, well, I'm brand new. My practice is less than a year old. I don't really know what pivots, I need to take. Oh, but then life happened. Okay. What was actually going on was that Sister Tiara was preaching a word that I didn't even know I needed at the moment. Because when I came back, the world was completely shut down at that point. And it was, now we suddenly have this pivot where we have to now rely on technology really to help those who need to be helped, as well as to sustain our practices as well, right? So with everyone doing essentially the exact same pivot of offering, virtual consultations, and, we're now doing virtual meetings, and, we're really gathering because, we're social people. So, we like to get together, and, talk, kiki it up. So it was definitely like, all right, so now Black Breastfeeding Week is coming up. So now it's time to kick it up a notch, because now our reach is so much further, just like you said. For example, I'm in Jersey, Chandra's in North Carolina, Nichelle's in VA. We have Whitney and Merlin. Yes, I gotta say it like that, Merlin. And Courtney, she's in Texas. So essentially, we're all over, but we have the ability and the audience now, because everyone's tuning in online to see what's going on. So now we have the ability to really engage people who wouldn't have known, who we are otherwise, which I think has really been a great pivot for not only us as as a group, but as individuals as well.
I think that's a great segue into what is Black Breastfeeding 365. But let me say this, listen, if you're listening and you are wondering whether or not supporting families virtually is a thing, whether or not it makes sense, I just, I just saw people in 50 different states sing on the same screen at the Democratic National Convention. They sang together. The national anthem, 50 different faces on screen. I mean, there's tremendous and amazing things happening virtually right now. If you can dream it up, you can make it happen, and you can foster community in a virtual way that we've never even thought about before. So do not be discouraged. Go for it. Get your feet wet in Zoom. Go to webinar. All the things, and you will for sure be successful. Angela says there's a question. Should we take that before or after we go into this lovely organization?
Let's have them talk about their thing first, and then we'll have more questions after that.
Agreed.
Sounds good. All right. So who wants to jump in and tell us about Black Breastfeeding 365?
I know I'm always deferring to Shelly because my social anxiety is so bad, but I'll go ahead and take this one. Black Breastfeeding 365 is an organization that it aims to help white providers have effective tools to support Black parents. And so with this being the first, I guess, I mean, we're really new. Like we launched the website July 31st, so we're really new. We wanted to really be involved during World Breastfeeding Month, and also specifically having the conversation start about Black breastfeeding before World Breastfeeding Week or Black Breastfeeding Week even started. In the future, obviously, we have big goals to support our mission, but in short, that's what we do. Shelly, do you want to add something?
I think you explained it perfectly.
Okay.
Our main goal really is just to bridge the gap between those of dominant culture who are still serving Black families, right? We're all in these social media spaces, and we see a lot of the questions that LCs of dominant culture still have about our Black bodies and, us breastfeeding. And so we can't act as if they aren't serving us, because they are. Unfortunately, with our breastfeeding disparities, it's also a disparity for us in these lactation spaces as well. So whereas, we want to be able to really help every Black family, it's not realistic because we just don't have the manpower or woman power behind us to do that. So in the meantime, those who are, dealing with Black families, they need to know how to do so in a culturally competent, culturally sensitive way. So that's basically our goal, is that we want to bridge that gap while also, giving a voice to parents as well. Oftentimes we go to all these trainings, right? And we're like, yeah, because my clients need to know this and they need to know that. And your clients don't care nothing about this or that. And when you come to them and you're talking to them, you're unprepared, because the conversation you should have been going to was the one about how to support moms who are returning back to work, how to support the exclusively pumping parent. Those are the talks that you should go to. But instead, you're going to something else that may not really be helping the population that you're serving. So our goal is to take these two halves and put them together so that they can mesh a little bit better together.
I feel like that the thing that you just mentioned is because we oftentimes providers feel like they know that already. Oh, I know how to support parents going back to work. Well, you might want to check out the latest and the greatest.
Yes,
this new research.
And it's like
great.
these things are constantly changing. Like, we have the resident exclusively pumping expert on our team with Nichelle Clark, Pumpiana, any and everything exclusively pumping. She is your person. I'm just going to say that off the bat. And so, she keeps up on these things. And, when she's talking to parents in these spaces, it's just amazing sometimes what the disconnect is sometimes with people who just really don't understand what it is exactly the parent is asking of you, essentially, because either you don't understand it or you just don't have that skill set in your toolbox. So what we want to do is start to build up a patient-friendly toolbox. Not so much, you being the world's best LC on paper, but in practice.
Mm, that's a word. What?
I love it. It's so necessary. I've been on a kick lately on my social media posting pictures of brown breasts and nipples, saying
Hmm.
let's normalize brown breasts.
I love to
But
see.
Right.
I'm sharing
it's for
each
this
one. Love it.
reason.
Love to
It's for
see.
this.
Hmm.
It sounds like that Black Breastfeeding 365 exists for this reason, to normalize what it looks
Yes.
like to deal with these breasts and chests, for physicians and providers and lactation consultants who just, typically don't see them. I talked myself, into a question last night when I was telling someone about this topic, and I said it's really interesting that 70, probably 80% of the world's breasts and chests are brown and brown nipples. I don't know how providers have not seen them.
I
Yes.
think the thing about it is they have seen them, but they don't know what
What
they're
they're doing.
looking at.
Yeah.
And
Indeed.
so what we're
Right.
starting to see now is they're going into these social media spaces, right? Because we're all virtual. So now they have access to people with brown bodies to say, I saw this and I don't know what this is. And we're just like, girl, it's just dry skin. Put some coconut oil on it. You'll be all right.
Call it a day.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
and we experience that in baby care. They're still calling CPS on Mongolian spots. Stop doing it. Like, stop it. Because
Not a
we should have
bruise. It's
known
not
this
a
by now. We
bruise. You
should
should
know
know
this by
this.
now.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
really have to continue education. Continuing education to me, it's common sense. It's common sense that you're going to continue your education. You're not going to live back in the age where you're still telling Black folks to do Karo syrup and carnation milk, and things like that. Because that's what our grandmothers remember. They're like, oh, that baby just needs some Karo syrup and carnation milk. Well, that is something that we're trying to change that. But there are some Caucasian doctors that are still prescribing to this to our Black families because they're like, oh, well, didn't your grandmother tell you about the carnation milk? No, we don't need to hear about that. Like, that is not what we're doing now, or we shouldn't have been doing ever. So it's just re-educating even the old doctors, they old school, get them up to speed on the fact that we know all about your tactics. We ain't trying to die. So
right. And
moving
then
forward.
also just centralizing the information as well.
Hmm.
So those pictures of brown breasts and brown nipples, and I love the one today about the areola because and I love how you took the snippets of actual textbooks, and that's what it says. You want to put the areola and the nipple. Well, if sis got, areolas the size of the palm of my hand, we about to have a
Mine was
problem.
like this. Well, that is my breast on my my computer, and my nipple is like this big to my baby's head. Like, there's no way she's gonna
Right.
get most of the areola. What are you talking about?
So
And
it's
so
like
that's the
in
kind
Have a
this.
whole
yeah.
double D.
And this
Hmm.
is like we also have to change the conversations that we're having, change our terminology, change all of the handouts and things like that. Because I'm pretty sure if we type in how to latch a baby, that's what we're going to see: nipple plus areola. Well, I got big areolas. That's not going to work. So what do I do? There's no information about that parent or the person who's helping. So just again, we want to bridge that gap in order to make it make sense.
Right.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I'm excited. I think this is phenomenal work. Can you all share where you see this going, as much as you want to right now, where you see this going? I hear you saying a bank of images. That sounds promising, or don't let me put words in your mouth. You tell us what Black Breastfeeding 365 is going to do.
So right now there is honestly a running Google Doc, right? Because first of all, let me just say it's not just Chandra and I. This
Yeah.
idea actually came from Michelle.
Michelle, you're right.
Last year, she said, "Why is it that we only really start talking about Black breastfeeding during this 1 week, right? We need to talk about this every day of the year." So she started the hashtag Black Breastfeeding 365. And this year, we were approached to help host a Black Breastfeeding Week event. And she said, well, let's take that and just kind of build it out more. So it was myself, Chandra, Nichelle, Whitney, Courtney. We also consult with Sierra Caldwell. We all got together and was like, all right, this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to do it. So our running cork board It really just has all the ideas of all the different things that we would like to do and where we would like to see this go, you know, whether it's we're actually offering trainings or we're just a bank of resources. We definitely want to localize breastfeeding support as well. So, you know, who are you looking for? This is where they are. This is where who is, how to get to this person. Also making sure that we are referring to appropriate providers. So no, nah, not everybody gonna make the cut. Sorry. But you know, we want to make sure that when we're referring, you know, our parents to, you know, different people that they are good at what they do and they can actually accomplish, you know, everything.
Yeah, I think that the origin is definitely important because it started specifically about Black Breastfeeding Week because providers were asking like, how do we support Black Breastfeeding Week? And it's like, well, have you been doing the work up until now? Like, what have you been doing? It's no different than what you would do year round. All you're doing is, you know, highlighting that a little bit more than you would. And so with that in mind, after it went from just an idea of like, well, how do we promote Black Breastfeeding Week to, oh my goodness, like this can be a thing, like we're doing a thing here. The brainstorming for how we want it to go or what it looks like is definitely a work in progress, but trainings have been brought up. You know, we've talked about uh, starting conversations and different avenues for doing that, highlighting the work that other people are doing. That's really, really big. Providing a platform for Black providers and Black initiatives. So I think it's really tough because we're really new, like really, really new. But after this month, we have a plan for really putting out some concrete ideas and making them a little bit more like easier to explain. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Also,
Well, folks, you heard it here first. You heard it here first. We're getting in on the ground floor of Black Breastfeeding Live. Next year, this time, we'll be talking about, oh my gosh, look how much they've accomplished in a year.
Right.
But we had you first. Yeah. Go ahead.
Heard it here first. And also through this, like Chandra said, with amplifying other people who are doing the work, we also have said that we would highlight different people every couple of months as far as their nonprofit activities. So this month, we're actually highlighting the Perinatal Equity Foundation located here in New Jersey, run by and founded by Nastasha Davis, who's also running the Black Breastfeeding Week New Jersey activities here in New Jersey, which I'm also helping with that planning committee as well.
And what's meant by highlighting, in addition to having a space on the website, is all donations that are taken go directly to their foundation. So we're not taking, like we took this opportunity to front page on our website, anybody who's coming in to submit their vision boards or anything like that, have the opportunity to donate to her foundation. And so we really wanted to make sure that we were allowing those who do want to support Black Breastfeeding Week and Black providers by monetarily putting it to organizations that we know are already doing the work.
So can you tell us a little bit about the Vision Boards project that you're promoting currently?
So our virtual vision boards, I actually just did a little tutorial on it. It's located on the Black Breastfeeding 365 Facebook page. Follow us on Instagram as well. So, you know, we've all at some point or another wrote down our hopes and dreams for the future. You know, whether it was when you were in kindergarten and you wanted to marry Prince Charming, or you were in middle school and you just wanted to get out and get this high paying job with this fancy car, or when you graduated from college and you was trying to figure out how to stretch one pack of ramen noodles throughout an entire week. You know, we've all put down our hopes and dreams and visions for our future, right? So that's what we're essentially asking people to do, except instead of using pencil and paper and like glue, you're now doing it on your computer. So we have some programs that we did recommend that are posted on our website, and that's basically what you're doing. So if you are a Black parent who is breastfeeding or has in the past, You're basically outlining what your journey has been and where you would like to see other parents go. So whether it's you want more acceptance of pumping, or more acceptance of nursing in public, or more acceptance of not putting cereal in your baby's bottle. You know, you can talk about these things and put them on a board. It's a collage. It's not supposed to be organized, which really messes with our type A people. It's not supposed to be, you know, the fanciest or the prettiest, but it's really just your hopes and dreams. And if you are a provider, what work would you like to do to advance Black breastfeeding? So is it you want to contribute to more spaces? Is it you want to talk less and listen more? Is it you want to you know, go into some communities and just, again, sit and listen? You know, you want to read more research projects. You know, what is it that you personally want to do? And you can outline this in words, in pictures. We're not asking for paragraphs. So you could just literally put talk and put a line through it, because you want to talk less, because you talk too much. It's fine. We know who you are. Listen a little bit. So, you know, that's essentially what we are asking everyone to do. We have prizes that we are going to award during our Black Table Talk, where we're going to have, there are a lot of people. I'm going to be honest. I saw the email. I read who the people are. I don't remember who they are, but thank you for volunteering your time. We appreciate you. That's not my area. So, but we have
What is the Black Table Talk?
Black Table Talk. So we're having a roundtable discussion. Whitney Dula, she is the moderator, and we're just going to talk all things Black Breastfeeding Week and Black breastfeeding, you know, about the topics that are, you know, really coming up a lot in our circles and like in our spaces that we're seeing. And we're just going to have the conversation about them, as well as to look at the vision boards. Everybody also, when they submit their boards, they can write a little bit about it. So also just what conversations have started to come up from these boards as well. So sorry.
I think that's a great idea for anyone who's out there wondering what they do. There's some really creative ways that you can celebrate Black Breastfeeding Week virtually in your community. You can just rally the folks who would normally come out to one of your events to meet up, you know, online in some way, you know, celebrate Black Breastfeeding Week, and make sure you register those events with the actual Black Breastfeeding Week website.
We did.
Right. The interesting thing about how we tied Black Breastfeeding 365 and Black Breastfeeding Week together is we have, if you go to the website, the theme for this year is actually the prompt for the vision board. So you can do like whatever breastfeeding, you know, what breastfeeding looks like to you, means to you, and what you'd like to see. But also, if you want to get a little bit more specific for parents, you can do like, what does the theme of Revive, Restore, and Reclaim mean to you? And for professionals, how do you intend to incorporate the theme of Revive, Restore, and Reclaim into your practice setting year round? So you have a more global option, or if you like to know where to start, you can use the prompts which tie in the Black Breastfeeding Week theme as well.
Nice.
Chandra, she would know. She designed our website, so she would know what's on the website.
Great job.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
It's okay. I pulled it up to read that, so I didn't have to remember.
She's amazing at social media. I'm always like, oh man, what a beautiful website every time she creates one. So thank you for sharing those details. All right. Is now a good time to go to some questions, we think, maybe?
Yeah.
What are the people saying, Angela?
So they're all very grateful that you're here. That's for sure. And someone commented that they like that Nikki is educating in word. So that's a good thing. A comment here from Millie Goins, who says, hello sisters, Millie Goins here from Arkansas, former WIC BFPC, Breastfeeding Peer Counselor, catapulted into private practice, chairperson of MILC, the Monetary Investment for Lactation Consultant Certification. I too am a military spouse. Glad you ladies are well, and I must confess that I am not okay. My business is not okay. So reimagining that. My family has had to be the priority, but Black breastfeeding and everyone breastfeeding, I am here for it. Glad to join you. Love the display of sisterhood and resilience within our community, and yes, shared sentiments. So
Sending love to you, Millie. It's hard out here, right?
It is. It is.
And I think every one of us have had a moment where we're like, we're not okay. My business is not okay.
Mm-mm,
My mind is not okay. You know,
honey.
so to,
15 minutes before this call, I was not okay. So it shifts. We have ebbs and flows. But and that's okay. That's
yeah.
okay. And as long as we surround ourselves with support, as we tell our families, supported families thrive. Supported providers thrive also, because we are at risk for so many more, because we take in so many stories every day, and absorb trauma and things like that. So we have to have a place where we can create a space, and hopefully we do this for y'all when y'all join in every other Wednesday. So thank you for being here.
Another comment in the chat is, thank you for showing me that I will not be alone when I become a mother.
Mm, not
You're
at all.
welcome.
We got you.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Another person is asking, what do you say to older mothers of color who are fearful of getting pregnant due to the mortality rates? And she said this is for, and
Um,
I asked if this is for a first-time parent or if this is for, a subsequent child, and she said both.
So I
So
feel like that resonates with me because I'm older. And I just had a baby a year ago. Let me tell you, I don't know what to say other than I feel you. I can relate to the fear. There were, I want to say there were months, but it's probably the entire pregnancy where I really felt this heavy, heavy fear that I know too much. I've seen
mm,
too much in this field, and I know very well what the chances are, what the likelihood is that this could not end well for me or baby. I will tell you that you have an opportunity to be empowered if you want to continue to bear children. You have the opportunity to really choose a lot about how things happen. You can choose a provider, you can choose a setting in which you have your baby, and you have the opportunity to plan ahead of time to have an empowering birth experience. It is possible, it is real, and I want you to be empowered by that. I want you to be inspired by the fact that we are not victims of this, so we don't have to be. We can do our very best to set ourselves up and be well supported going into birth, during birth, and afterward. We need to have a whole plan, a
mhm.
whole setup of providers and caretakers and support system who believes us, who listens to us, and who is ready to act when we say something is off. And you
Right.
can do that. And I'm here as a living witness that it's possible. I think I cut you off, Shelley.
I'm sorry, that was just so beautiful what you said. It just kind of threw me off a
Mm-mm.
little bit. Um,
Take your time.
I was just gonna say, that her experience is one that I am seeing a lot as well. There was actually someone who is of celebrity status, whose name escapes me right now, who actually birthed at home because they were so afraid to going into the hospital. So your feelings are definitely valid, and it's feelings that we all feel for you. Um, my encouraging thought would be to consider having a birthing doula, someone who is a third party who is there specifically to advocate for you, who knows what it is you want, even in your most quietest moments and your loudest moment. But also, they are there to support you and empower you to help you to have the birthing experience that you want to have before, during, and after giving birth.
Yeah, I don't know, like everybody else, like I don't know what to say, but I do know that there was a conversation that my sister and I had. She got pregnant last year. She had her first child last year and she's pregnant again. And I was able to go down pre-delivery and I stayed with her for almost a month afterwards. And I remember her talking to me and saying, like, I'm just really scared. I'm just really, really scared. And the best advice that I had was like, talk with your provider about it. Let them know. You know what I mean? She was like, well, what do I say and what do I do? And so at least in that regard, she felt a little bit better after speaking with her provider, that her provider knew what her concerns were. Obviously, that doesn't necessarily there's, you know, getting a doula, for example, you know, is definitely something that can impact the outcome a lot more than just talking with the provider about. But I do know that it's just sometimes good to be honest about the fact that we're scared and that we're having these feelings.
Absolutely. And it helps to hear them say back, okay, I understand. You know,
Right.
I am here to support you, and I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that you and baby are well on the other side of this. Will go a long way to taking a load off. So our hearts go out to you. And I hope you feel that you have some tools now to move forward and do what you feel is right for your family. Anything else, Angela?
Beautiful. Two things. One is, sorry, yes, here it is. Someone who's asking about home visits. So a little bit more of the practical. Do you all feel safe doing home visits? Do the families feel safe having you in their homes? What safety precautions are you using if you are doing home visits?
This is a long conversation that we have been having between Chandra's laughing because we literally have been having this conversation for months now regarding doing home visits again, because we do realize that there are some families who just need the home visit. They need the hands-on because that's how they learn best. They are hands-on learners. And that's something that you're not always able to achieve through a virtual visit as much as you would like. I know I personally, I'm not back into homes just yet. I'm still trying to get all of my PPE equipment all together because not only are there, you know, mask requirements and the face shield, and you want to make sure you have the correct gloves, but then there's the additional component of sanitizing now. And somebody apparently bought all of the Cabicide in all of the world, and nobody can find it anymore.
If you want to pay $50 for a gallon of Cabicide, then
not doing it.
Go to
And
Amazon.
So, you know, we go to the EPA website to try to figure out, you know, what we can get in the meantime. But then, you know, there are contact times that you have to let things sit for a while. Shout out to Brenna Sampe. She is the one who's been navigating us through these contact times and how long it has to sit on something before it's actually effective. So it's just making sure you have all those things as well. And then also being able to trust that your client is being truthful about their social interaction. Have you been to any hot spots? Have you been exposed to anyone who has exhibited these symptoms? And so it's a matter of also having that trust with, you know, whose home you're actually going into, you know, who's been in and out your home, where have you been, you know. So I'm not doing them just yet. There are some people here in New Jersey who are, and I will refer out to them if, you know, my families aren't comfortable with virtual. Also, I will say that this COVID situation has caused our community to shift as well, where we are really relying on each other in this moment too. Because if I can't see a client in person, well, who can? Because this family needs help. So.
Right. My experience has been really interesting because, as many of you know, I started a primarily virtual practice back in 2018. And so moving a lot, that seemed like the best decision. And I mean, a lot of people didn't want virtual visits back then. I was doing it before, you know, people were forced into this situation.
Uh-oh. No.
Oh, Chandra froze.
Chandra froze.
So she was doing it before it was the cool thing to do, right? But there she is. You back, Chandra?
There you go.
Yeah, I'm back now. Sorry, my internet. I don't know where I lost you guys, but essentially,
you were doing it before it was the cool thing to do.
It was before. It wasn't. You know, it was before people were forced into this circumstance. And so now I moved to an area where there's 3 clinics that are open and seeing parents, and I'm new and I'm trying to find my unique selling point. And so I have just ordered all this stuff to do home visits. I plan on, and that's where a lot of the conversations happened about contact times and, you know, doing things like sterilizing your phone in between visits and taking, you know, different clothing and what can you spray on what surfaces and how long do you have to let it stay before, you know, that's sterilized. I personally, I think I'm at the point where I feel comfortable, but also, now that everybody's doing virtual visits, it's harder to stand out and say I offer virtual visits, and this is how well I can do it. You can see, you know, so and so down the street virtually, but like, do they have the skills, honestly, to do virtuals in a really that promotes really good outcomes? And I think that at this point, the best thing that I can do is work with providers who are seeing these complex cases and focus on that, and that's what I've done. But I will keep you guys updated in a couple of months once I'm actually in people's homes, whether or not I'm still doing it.
That's great insight. Nikki, what do you say?
I do home visits. I've been doing home visits since May. I jumped back into doing them. I just lost track with a lot of my patients. As y'all, you know, I do work with teens, pregnant teens at homeless shelter, and a lot of my families are transient, and just trying to find people and get them set up on the app, and it just wasn't working. It wasn't working. So New Orleans is a very small, big city, so I'm able to navigate here pretty easy. I put precautions into place. We have some amazing resources on lactationtraining.com/COVID -19 of how to do a home visit. I mean, how to decide if you want to do a home visit, screening questions and all of that. But here's the thing, I treat all of my patients as if they have it, because I don't think some of them truly understand, you know, or know of the amount of contacts that they've had. I would like to think that the moms that have just returned from the hospital are negative because they've been tested there, but I can't, you know, take any chances. So I wear, you know, the mask. I wear N95, and then I also have another mask over it. So I double mask. I wear a different set of clothing in between each home visit. That means I'm coming home, showering. I wash my hair every time. So it is a process, but it has been working. We have been having some great outcomes. But then I also, in the home, I'm also checking blood pressures too, because it's not enough for me to check your breast if you're about to have a stroke. So so I also making sure that they're, because I know folks aren't getting postpartum visits. They're not doing in person. The protocol with ACOG is a virtual visit. So you may be the only person that they see. And I say, well, if I see them, especially high risk moms, I'm going to make sure I do a home visit. So it's just something that I've had to personally decide, and my family had to decide not to have a social life, and we just stay in our bubble so I can do work.
Yeah, I probably would have been seeing clients in home if I were still in Los Angeles, because I feel like as a community, Los Angeles gets it a little bit more and believes it's a thing and are being very precautious. I don't feel safe doing so here in Florida. And I just can't trust that the folks have not been around somebody's, you know, been at a barbecue yesterday,
We know.
you know. So, you know. Angela said that, you know, the block aside. There's a lot of questions coming in the last few minutes here, so we want to make sure we get as many as we can. One says,
Right.
what do you say to Black doulas who say Black breastfeeding is not a Black maternal health issue?
Oh, snap.
So
that was a thing.
actually, according to the CDC, Black infants are at a 3.8% increase of rate for dying due to low birth weight, preterm birth, and also being ill when they are in fact born. And fortunately, breast milk is something that can help remedy all of those things. So with the antibodies, the immune support, also with, you know, the proteins and the calories and things, you know, breast milk does in fact help those things. And it's actually predicted that if, you know, Black families did breastfeed more, we could reduce those rates by 50%. And so, you know, for Black doulas who may think that, you know, that breastfeeding isn't, you know, a crisis that goes with it, it actually is, because when our babies are being born too small, too soon, too sickly, it's breast milk essentially that could help these babies to survive and have better outcomes for survival. Not only that, you know, when Black moms are breastfeeding, it helps to decrease our bleeding. So that reduces the risk of that really scary thing that we always talk about with the postpartum hemorrhage. It also helps to lower our blood pressure, and also, you know, to reduce our risk for so many other things. So breastfeeding does fit into that piece as well.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for that. Our babies are 3.8 times more likely to experience
Yes,
those?
sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
way more than 3.8%. I want to make sure because no, don't, yeah, times more likely to experience those terrible, terrible outcomes. Thank you. Nothing else needs to be said unless Nurse Nikki wants to.
Yep. Oh no, y'all already know how I feel about this.
Yeah, okay.
Breast
All
milk
right.
saves lives for mamas and babies. Okay, our
The end.
cardiovascular risk is crazy. So let's decrease that as best we can, and that's what breast milk does for both.
Absolutely. Angela, what else?
So woman is someone on the call. I'm a peer counselor in Mississippi. Whenever I try to reach out to mothers of color via social media about breastfeeding, I have mothers who want to debate with me instead of taking the information and taking it into consideration. How do you manage that?
That may be a longer conversation.
Let me just give you a little tidbit. All we can do is give the information. That's all we can do. And that's with anybody. You know, when you have a family, I had a mom, she has 8 kids. And on the 9th kid, she said, no one has ever talked to me about breastfeeding. I'm just going to keep doing this formula. I said, well, let me just give you the information. Since no one has ever talked to you about breastfeeding, you come up in this WIC office. Let me just give it to you. All we can do is give them the information. And it's, at all times, it's ultimately their decision. We're not here to debate. I'm not about to sit and tell you that breast milk is better. Anything that comes from my body got to be for my baby because it's for nobody else. So we're not going into that, and save your energy on folks that really need the support. And that's what I've been told, because you can get burnt out trying to debate, going back and forth with people and getting your blood pressure high and all this time. Why don't they breastfeed? No. Put the information out there, give what you can, and then use your energy to serve those that are calling on you for further assistance. That's the way I approach it, because I know how it is down here in this Delta. You understand, the Gulf Coast, our rates are the lowest.
So I agree with everything Nikki said. I have maybe a little bit of a different take on it. I think it matters who you are, breastfeeding counselor. It matters what you look like.
Yes, indeed.
And the way in which you embark upon that conversation over social media. And so, it may be that it's not well received because of the language choice, or because of the skin you're in, or there could be all sorts of factors that impact it. But I do agree with Nikki that all you can do is put the facts out there. Hey, I respect you as a parent and the chief decision maker for you and your infant. Here's some facts. Here's some stuff I just want to share with you. And that's where you leave it. It may just be about planting a seed for the next baby. But yeah, social media debates are time sucks and emotion drains and energy zappers and all sorts of things. And I had to learn that the hard way. Trust me when I tell you. Anything else, Angela?
So one last comment from Ray Mapson in Maryland. She says, COVID has really impacted our Black mothers. Not only are they scared giving birth as Black women, but as a Black woman and facing a pandemic. I am a breastfeeding peer counselor, and I'm having to listen to mom's fears, tears, and I'm at a loss for words at times. At the end of my day, I find myself sitting and thinking, what a beautiful thing we all do for people that look like me and you. Thank you, ladies, for the work that is being done and the teachings you present.
Oh, that was lovely.
Aww.
Thank you for sharing that.
Y'all so poetic today.
Right?
Everyone.
Awesome. That's
The
fantastic.
Black
Wow.
Breastfeeding Week cards. We should put this stuff on some paper.
Listen, I am
But that's great.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Nikki, you want to finish? I'm jumping.
No. I just thank you for those beautiful words. We're all in this together, and we're all here to uplift and support. The problem is too big for competition. It's all about collaboration and partnership, and us working together as, many communities within our spaces, and then national communities, because, the problem is just too big. So thank you for those kind words.
Absolutely. Listen, I just want to mention there, if the audience today may be mixed of folks who are already in the profession and those who want to enter the profession. So I just want to give a little bit of a plug, because these two phenomenal supporters that we have as our guests today both were certified breastfeeding specialists. One is, and one is, former CBS, now IBCLC. I just want to highlight the fact that this amazing credential by LER is a thing, and it is a thing with which you can go out and do the work. Shelly is doing the work right now and being amazing at and doing, and has a practice that is thriving and is really impacting her community with it. And Chandra did so for years as well. So every opportunity we get, I want to make sure that we mention the Certified Breastfeeding Specialist credential, because it is a great, great tool, especially being 100% online right now, for anyone interested in pursuing the career, the field. You guys have any words you want to say about the CBS before we end?
Oh, I enjoyed being able to do it from the comforts of my own home. I printed out all the PowerPoints. You don't have to do that, but I did it, and I'm actually going to go back through them to help me study for the exam this upcoming April.
I was just going to say there's a lot of options out there, and I couldn't be happier with my choice to go through Lactation Education Resources to get my CBS. And like Nikki was saying, well, Nikisha, I guess here, right, was saying, I get a lot of questions about can people operate or what opportunities there are as a CBS, and I have to reiterate, like, there are, you know what I mean? You can do things as a CBS, and so.
Know your scope.
Yeah.
Know your scope.
Know your scope.
Great,
I
Angela. Post the website, Angela, in the chat. Lactationtraining.com/CBS, and on that page, oh, she's already done it. On that page, you can view the scope, and it shows you all the many, many, many efforts that are within the scope of the CBS. Listen, we thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for
We
having us.
appreciate your time. Thank you for sharing your stories. Thank you for sharing Black Breastfeeding 365 with us. We're going to be watching. We're going to be seeing all the great work to come out of your brand new organization. Kudos to you and all of your teammates. You've done something great. Don't stop minimizing it and saying it's brand new. It is here. Show up big.
Right.
Take up all the space because you deserve it. And I know great, great things are coming out of Black Breastfeeding 365. That's all I got.
You so
Nikki, you got anything?
No, I just thank you for being here and thank you for sharing your time with us. And we look forward to see the amazing things that y'all have coming up next week and in the future as well, because y'all were going to keep the ball rolling, keeping us amplified with Black Breastfeeding 365.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. That's definitely the goal. We encourage everyone to go to our website, blackbreastfeeding365.com. Like and share us on both Facebook and Instagram, because that's where we are. We look forward to seeing now the influx of vision boards that are coming in, since everyone now knows how to complete them, and everyone's so excited now to be able to put their ideas onto these boards to send them over to us. We have some great prizes for parents and professionals, which we'll be announcing later on this week. So stay tuned, and we can't wait to see what you do.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Angela, is there something else?
That's it. Thank you. No, that's it. Thank you, ladies, very much.
Okay, we will end with a wait. One more announcement.
Oh, okay.
Our next episode is on September the 2nd.
Yes.
Join us right here, same place, same time. However, we are making a shift. We've been talking about COVID since March, April, a long time. A long time. So we're going to shift the content of these, but we will continue to be here with you, before you, twice a month at least, to talk about whatever you want to talk about. This next one is just Nikki and Nikki Live, shifting from COVID and into our new normal. Join us here to talk about where the direction of the show is going and all the great things we have in store for you throughout the rest of this year. We'll see you then.
Yes.
Thank you, ladies, so much. Just want to also remind everybody that there's going to be an exam review, a free exam review by lactationtraining.com on Monday the 24th. So go to our website and you can find out more information or follow us on social media. Thank you very much, ladies. Appreciate your time.
Bye.
Take care. Bye. Stay safe and sanitized.
Stay safe and sanitized.